this presentation is based on a paper that I did for Oxfam, which actually looked at what kinds of goals and targets India could be setting using the post-2015 discussions as an opportunity, but something that India could be doing within itself. And also then reflecting this into the global discussions. It doesn't, I'm going to say in a little while that this is actually a limited framework. It's not something that I myself would say is the sort of more holistic way of looking at things. I will speak a little bit about that. But most of the presentation is going to be about this framework, and I do recognize that it is limited. So in the discussions following, we could probably talk about how it can be expanded. And I'll explain this in a bit. The second caveat is that a lot of the earlier points that have come up about social justice, gender equality, etc., are absolutely crucial. I don't dwell on them too much. My focus is on sustainability and of course equity related to sustainability, but that's not to in any way belittle the importance of a whole lot of the social justice, equity concerns that have already been expressed. So I'm going to skip through all of this. I think this is all fairly clear to all of you, the fact that we still in India, despite 65 years of so-called development, we still have enormous levels of deprivation, poverty of various kinds, ecological destruction, etc. I don't think I need to go into this in this audience. Also that in fact India is itself becoming a colonizer. After having suffered 200 years of colonization, we now are powerful enough to actually go and start colonizing other countries. For instance, 500,000 hectares of land in Ethiopia taken over by Indian companies and so on. And so what Gandhi said long back is actually also beginning to come true. Also, of course, review of the MDGs and India's performance in them is fairly clear that it is very mixed. There has certainly been some progress, but there's also been enormous amounts of failures, and especially on the environmental front, I think the government itself admits that there's a long way to go. We would probably say that it's not a long way to go. We've actually reversed considerably since 2000 in terms of environmental sustainability. And also, if you look at the kind of reports that are coming out of, for instance, India's report on the MDGs, or the economic survey, or the budget, or anything, there's still no attempt at trying to link ecological, environmental sustainability and other goals and targets of development. So these are continued failures. I think we're all familiar with them. There's some signs of hope, which if you look at some of the recent documentation from the government, at least some acknowledgement of the fact that sustainability and so on have to be built into the planning process or into the budgeting and so on. But fundamentally, the problems still remain. Number one, that environment and equity and justice are not at the core of the development model. The developmental model is still very heavily focused on economic growth as being the sort of, it's almost become an end in itself. So it's like growth will help us achieve everything, which as we know is simply not true. There's really no serious search for alternatives to growth. And finally, of course, there is the dependence is largely on either the state or private corporations, and there's very little discussion on the third crucial pillar, which is us as communities, as citizens, and how they can be at the vanguard of true progress. Signs of hope come, of course, from civil society, enormous amounts of churning that is taking place, resistance to destructive development, as we've seen hundreds of places in India. Thousands of initiatives are trying to actually build from the ground localized initiatives towards sustainability, towards meeting basic needs, towards justice, equity, etc. And then from that, also, of course, evolving a number of our own conceptions or frameworks or visions or worldviews of what could be a sustainable and equitable world. And I'm just going to present very quickly in a minute one of these that has emerged from learnings from the ground. This is not something that's coming purely from theory, but actually from grassroots initiatives, which a couple of us have called radical ecological democracy. Don't worry about the name, it could be any name. But essentially the idea is that the world that we want is only going to be possible if there are at least four crucial pillars that we work on. Number one, direct democracy, which is to say that we actually start fundamentally questioning the current kind of representative democracy we have, where, some of us were just discussing at the break that why is it that we're so heavily focused on what happens at the national elections? We should actually start making the national elections inconsequential by taking power at the grassroots and then power emanating from that. So notions of direct democracy, there are many examples already where this is beginning to happen. Secondly, of course, economic democracy, where we take back control over the means of production and consumption and in the hands of producers and consumers, or prosumers as we're being called now, and where conceptions of progress and wealth go, throw out things like GDP and per capita income and bring in really meaningful indicators of real genuine human well-being. And third, of course, social justice and equity, everybody's been talking about that, cultural diversity, and finally, of course, all of this has to be based on recognizing the limits of nature and respecting the need for natural resources, sustainability, and nature's resilience. I don't have time to go into this in much more detail, but this has been developed much more in a recent publication. I have a copy of that here. And I think a summary of this has been put out for distribution. But if not, I would be happy to send it to whoever wants it. I'd also be happy to send the PDF version of the book, though that would mean that I'll be violating copyright. But that's fine. I think intellectual property rights has to be thrown out the window anyway. Right, now, the next few minutes of what I'm going to speak about, I think there's a lot of detail in this in terms of setting goals and targets and indicators and activities based on that. But I think, to me, the most fundamental thing is actually what are the principles and values that we're trying to bring out. What is it that fundamentally, what are the ethics that we're living on or want to live on, right? So again, emanating from learnings from communities who are trying to do things differently, just setting out a list of some values and principles which I think are really crucial, which are not what the current dominant system tells us. Okay, the current dominant system, for instance, tells us that completely unfettered growth, unlimited growth is possible, which we know is simply not the case. There are ecological limits to how much we can grow. The current system tells us that it's me, mine, selfie. I'm the one who has to become rich, famous, powerful, etc., etc. It doesn't matter what happens to the community. So the whole notion of the commons, of the collective, of solidarity, of relationships, all of that is thrown out. And I think really we need to be able to emphasize in whatever we do that it is these values that are crucial, whether we're doing it in the education system or in our interpersonal relationships or in the community relationships, or how we deal with each other, how we deal with nature, how we relate to nature. It is, to my mind, crucial. And this is again just a small sample. There could be a whole list of other values and principles which I'm sure you would all come up with. Right, so based on this, we suggested last year a proposed global framework of goals, some of which has come into the latest documents, not because we've suggested them, it's probably just coincidental, but some of which is not. And I just wanted to quickly present a set of 8 or 10 what I think are crucial goals, much simpler than the 17 that are there right now. The first, this is not necessarily in any order of priority, but the first one, of course, the continued maintenance of ecological cycles and functions and biodiversity, without which we would all be dead. There's a favorite question of mine that I ask every time I do a presentation, especially in schools. Let me ask it here also. Does anybody know, what's the most important thing in our life? Obviously not money. Air, right? Oxygen. We wouldn't be alive with more than 2 minutes without oxygen. Where does most of our oxygen come from?
Trees, plants, trees.
Trees, no. Plants, yes, but what plants?
Algae.
Huh?
Algae.
Yeah, so congratulations. You are out in the last 30 years I've been asking this question, you may be the 5th or 6th person who's answered this correctly. Marine algae produce 70% of our oxygen. If it weren't for marine algae, we would all be dead. In other words, no sustainable development, nothing. I mean, all of this would be nonsense. So the first, that's just one example of what nature provides us. But the first one is absolutely crucial. It underlines, it has to be the basis of everything that we talk about. Second, again, I'm not going to go into any of these in detail. The second one is food, the third one is water, the fourth one is health. But mind you, the way these are framed is not simply that there needs to be adequate food for everybody or food security, but what kind of food and in what manner is that food produced. Kavita, you'll probably be talking about this more later on. So again, so every one of these, but built in a way in which sustainability and equity are also in each of these goals. So it's not just a simple thing of provide water to everybody. How you provide it and what form is also crucial. Then we go on to energy, learning and education, and I've deliberately put learning there because education unfortunately has actually become non-learning in many senses. Settlements, both rural and urban, and then of course a special focus on women and children. So this is what we suggested for the global goals. As I said, you reflect, some of this is reflected in the 17 goals we have now, some is not. But based on this then, what we suggested was a set of goals for India. It doesn't necessarily follow exactly the same order. There are some differences, but those 8 are. So the first one, of course, again, safeguarding the integrity of nature. I'm going to go through these in each of these in a little bit of detail. So right now I'm just flagging all of them. First one is nature, the second one is basic needs for everybody, the third one is livelihoods, the fourth one is production and consumption, fifth is infrastructure, sixth is services and welfare, seventh is the macroeconomic framework, and the eighth one is political governance. As you can see, it's differently framed from the global things for some reasons that I can elaborate on later. But
ये order में hierarchy भी है?
नहीं, except the first one, which, as I said, I mean, without that, none of us would be alive anyway. But नहीं, ऐसी hierarchy नहीं है. But of course, I think we can say कि first and second.
पांचवां दूसरा होना चाहिए. आखिरी जो political governance है.
पांचवां आठवां.
हाँ,
आठवां.
Second में आना चाहिए.
Yeah, it depends. I mean, sometimes people will say कि अगर macroeconomics नहीं बदलोगे तो politics भी नहीं बदलेगा. और लोग कहेंगे कि political situation नहीं बदलोगे तो macroeconomics नहीं बदलेगा. कुछ और कहेंगे कि लोगों की basic needs जब तक meet नहीं होंगी तब वो politics और economics में कहाँ जाएंगे, etc. So, I didn't want to go into this kind of a discussion right now. At the moment, I'm saying all 8 are important. पर अपनी priorities हम लोग कर सकते हैं. So, oops, this is bad. Okay, the first one is integrity of nature, and essentially what here we're talking about is the conservation of elements of nature and natural resources, both for its own sake and of course for the continued functions and benefits that we get from the rest of nature. This is done through expanding the coverage of conservation sites, and I'm not talking the conventional protected areas, national parks, sanctuaries, which try and keep people out. I'm talking about community-based special sites for conservation. It also means, for instance, that all the human activities that we're doing need to build in conservation elements, need to build in elements of ecological sustainability. But so I can go into each of these in more detail, but right now I'm just flagging each one of them. The second one is basic needs, which is water, food, air. We often tend to forget that air is also a basic need. So the need for safe, unpolluted air, and that includes sound levels. If you look at what's happening in Delhi or any of our cities, it's just abysmal, the kind of sound levels that we have. It means, of course, also shelter and housing. So the whole issue of housing rights, basic housing rights for the poor. It's talking about energy, and when we talk about energy, it's not simply about putting up huge, massive solar power stations in terms of so-called clean energy, but it's actually talking about decentralized renewable energy, which people have not just access to the energy, but they also have control over the means of energy production. That is crucial, because if you look at, for instance, Modi is also saying solar power. In Gujarat, you can see these huge solar panels are coming up on the canals now, and he's saying that, well, see, I'm doing clean energy, and I believe in environment. But if you look at that from a political standpoint, and even from an ecological standpoint, it has huge problems. So, safe, decentralized energy, sanitation, etc. I think livelihoods. Many of these are going to be dealt with in more detail in subsequent panels, so I'm not doing that in going into any of these. Maybe we can in the discussion if there are questions. The third one is dignified livelihoods. And in this, if you look at it, a conventional model of development has been to try and move people out of the primary sector and into the secondary or the tertiary sectors, which it seems to me is a huge mistake. We should actually be encouraging, to the extent people want to continue, encouraging the primary sector, whether it's forestry or fisheries or farming or whatever, but in ways that are, of course, far more dignified, far more sustainable, where the returns are far better, or where even things like sustainable subsistence level of living is respected. It's not simply said, oh, you're only subsistence, you need to move into commercial. There is a lot of discussion going on so-called green jobs. The UNEP, for instance, has come up with a very interesting report on green jobs, and they're showing that shifting from environmentally destructive sectors into environmentally sustainable sectors actually increases the number of jobs. So, for instance, from chemical farming to organic farming, or privatized transportation to public transport, unclean energy into clean energy. All of these actually increases the number of the possibility of livelihood. So I think this is a huge opportunity for us. And then sometime back, I remember there was a planning commission report on how even just regenerating the 60% of our land that is degraded right now in India is a massive opportunity for livelihoods. And then through that, of course, being able to create the kind of assets that communities can use for sustainable living in future. So on livelihoods, these are some of the things that are possible. The fourth is production and consumption. And here, again, I'm not going to go into any of these. I just tried to flag one of these, which I think is, to me is very interesting, which is on consumption. Now, we keep blaming the North for unsustainable consumption, and of course we must blame the Americans and the Europeans and the Japanese and so on. But in our own country, if you look at it, 50 million or 100 million people are today living completely unsustainable lifestyles. So that includes me certainly, and probably many of the others in this room. I have proposed that we need to actually start talking about a sustainable consumption line. So we have a poverty line. Nobody should be below the poverty line, depending on how you, of course, define it. That's a separate issue. But just like that, corresponding to it, there should be a sustainable consumption line, and we should actually be, talking about, oh, you're living above it, and having measures. Now, I don't mean legal measures where the government comes and clamps down and says you can't have this and you can't have that. I mean actually social relationships and measures and cultures by which we actually start questioning each other and saying that how can you be doing this because you're depriving somebody else if you are above a sustainable consumption line. Again, I'd be happy to go more into this if we have the time later on. Many other aspects of sustainable production and consumption. Most of our production processes, especially in the industrial sector, are extremely damaging to the environment and to workers. So of course a lot of that has to change. We are today producing enormous amounts of garbage. Not only our own garbage, we are actually importing enormous amounts of garbage from other countries in the name of, it's not called garbage, it's called used goods. These are the interesting terms that people start using to be able to make things justifiable. So it's not imported as waste, it's imported as used goods. This is economics, I mean, we always talk about goods, nobody talks about bads. But essentially they're all bads. But then moving into actually looking at how we can become a zero waste society, which means not just recycling, etc., but actually even reducing the amount of waste that we're producing, which again links to patterns of consumption and many other such goals. Number 5, infrastructure. This is the big ticket for virtually all governments, current or past, that we need to hugely expand our infrastructure. Today, I think Modi is inaugurating 3 big infrastructure projects in Maharashtra. It's the Maharashtra Chief Minister supposed to go for, but today said he won't go for. That's interesting politics happening there. But infrastructure is seen not just by politicians, but actually by a lot of us as being the sort of, indicator of development. So big expressways and big ports and so on and so forth is like development. And so it's a huge challenge on how you make infrastructure, how do you change the mindset of infrastructure to make it far more sustainable and actually meeting the needs of people rather than, this huge, massive white elephants that are being created. Sixth is service and welfare, health services, education policies. Let me focus on 6.2 and 6.3. 6.2 is education. I think, and this is something I'm sure all of you would be well aware of, our education system today is really the pits, not simply because it doesn't reach a lot of people. That is of course the huge problem, but like I think was said in the morning, we've made some progress at least in making sure that children, at least in many parts of India, are getting to school. But then what are they getting at school is a question that is still not properly addressed. So what kind of learning are they actually doing? To my mind, it's actually all counterproductive. It's a regressive learning that is taking place because it's actually teaching kids that you need to become selfish. You have to be thinking only for yourself. You have to become rich, that's the ultimate goal of education. You have to become powerful, that's the ultimate goal of education, etc. etc. It's not actually teaching them what the ecological roots that we all come from. It's not teaching them what the cultural and historical roots we come from. It's not teaching them to actually be part of community and to think of ourselves as collectives. Which school in the country, for instance, says that we will not have highest marks, etc. That we will make sure that the entire class is actually moving from one stage to the next, and nobody's going to get high marks or whatever. Or you will get highest marks if you actually sacrifice your own marks to help others learn. I don't know any school that does that. Maybe some alternative schools. But clearly we need fundamental changes in education policies and practices. And then the same, of course, with tourism. India has been talking about what's it called? Amazing India. No, what's the slogan? Incredible India. And tourism has increased enormously. Yesterday's paper actually was about how I think there's been a 4-fold increase in tourism over the last few years. As we know, any of us who has gone to areas which used to be nice and quiet, and which are now overrun by tourists, it's enormously unsustainable. And it's not necessarily benefiting local people. So there has to be again fundamental changes there. By the way, every one of these things that I'm saying is goals and targets. The good thing is that there are already examples in the country available where this is happening. And I think we really need to, I think civil society needs to do far more than it has been doing so far to bring those examples up and to document them, to be able to exchange, have people exchanging with each other and to learn from those. And that doesn't happen enough. And of course the mainstream media doesn't do it. So it really has to be our responsibility to actually bring up a lot of the quiet work that is happening along these fronts. It's the same on tourism and education. Seventh and eighth are, I think, big picture, macroeconomic frameworks. This is a tough one. But essentially the way economics is taught to us, the way our economistic decisions at the level of the finance ministry or the commerce ministry or previously the planning commission is very much oriented in the neoliberal classical economics mold, which has not thought of ecological limits at all, which doesn't build in equity and social justice as a central concern. So these are things that have to be changed. And unfortunately, there's a serious lack of work in India on how do you recast macroeconomics, how do you actually recast economic theory and practice to be able to build in these sorts of things. So there's a lot of work to be done on that. So there's some specific examples or ideas here. The 7.3 on a national land and water use plan has been talked about for many decades. Every 5-year plan says that we need a land use plan. We still don't have one. India has no national land use or national water use plan whatsoever. So that makes any land open for any kind of so-called development. 7.5 is again very crucial. I think we need to fundamentally even question what is poverty. There was a little bit of discussion in the morning on that. To me, poverty should be about deprivation from any basic needs. It can't be defined in terms of money or only single parameters. It has to be multiple parameters. If you're deprived from fresh air, from good quality, nutritious food, from clean water, etc., or the means of being able to obtain these, then one should be considered poor. And from that point of view, incidentally, my co-author and I actually think that there's at least 75% of India that's poor, not just 25 or 30% that the government tells us. So being able to set indicators that actually are very different from the current indicators of development and progress is another major goal. Last, and as Vijayji says, probably the most important, is of course political framework. I've already spoken about the need for radical direct democracy at the grassroots. One of my favorite quotes is from a village in central India called Medhalekha, which says, Delhi और Mumbai में हमारी सरकार, हमारे गांव में हम ही सरकार. Okay, so in Bombay and Delhi are the governments we elect, but in our village we are the government. That kind of encapsulates the notion of direct democracy, which is supposed to have come in with 73rd and 74th amendments of the Constitution, but of course, as we know, has been consistently undermined by actual decision making or lack of implementation of those. There are other ideas which are there. 8.2 is something I'll talk about in a minute, which are like even within the system that we have right now, how do you create much more spaces for a far more accountable state and a far more transparent state. The paper also then sets out a whole set of indicators, methods and tools. So there's the set of goals, there's the set of indicators. It's kind of roughly approximating what the global process is. This is in great detail, so I'm not going to go into it, but let me just give you one example of what we've done. So for instance, if the target under the goal on basic needs, there is a target on ensuring safe energy security, then there are two kinds of indicators that could be laid out. One is a policy indicator, the other is a programmatic one. The policy indicator in this case would be, does India have a policy for providing safe, decentralized energy, renewable energy sources to everybody? The programmatic one would be, does India then have the schemes or the programs or the activities to make this happen? And then of course an indicative outcome would be, which you could do year after year, what is the percentage of people who actually have access to safe renewable energy sources. So that's one example, and this has been done for all the targets that are laid out. And then within these, of course, there would be activities that one could talk about, including those that are already happening, those that need to happen. I should also mention that we've given a number of examples of things that are happening in other countries where very interesting, very innovative ways of actually assessing genuine human well-being and progress are being talked about or actually implemented. And again, I don't have the time to go into all of these in detail, but many of you would know about Bhutan's gross national happiness. It's a very, very interesting set of 160 different parameters by which Bhutan assesses whether in fact its gross national happiness is increasing or not. There are lots of problems with it also, but it's worth looking at as an alternative to GDP. What would be the next steps towards actually national, towards pushing these kinds of steps? Is of course far more discussions and consultations on these issues, especially with people who are currently mostly left out of the decision-making processes, Adivasis, Dalits, women, other poor people, and so on. I mean, it's a bit of a pipe dream, frankly. I mean, I put it up because people sometimes ask, okay, what are the next steps? I don't know how much of this is really feasible. To my mind, what I think is most important is, and I'll come back to this, is especially because if you look at the challenges that we have in trying to move towards this, there's huge gaps in information, huge gaps in access to information. Despite the Right to Information Act, most citizens still don't actually have access to a lot of the information that is important for them. There's of course state, not just apathy, but hostility to things like sustainability and justice and so on. And with this current government, we're going to face that even more. There is this enormously increasing corporate power, which is a huge hurdle. They obviously will not want to see these kinds of changes. There is unfortunately also public apathy, or more than apathy. I think the public we've all been brainwashed into thinking in a particular direction, and therefore accepting or wanting policies and programs in that direction. Changing that is going to be like a huge effort. And finally, all of